A YouTuber named Shanen Sarmi is excited to travel to California, but far less enthusiastic about her flight, specifically her window, which is not sitting in place and makes this unsettling noise.
Going through the window and I didn't tell anyone.
By the time she lands, the first of the 2 layers of glass has slid down enough to poke her finger through. It looks like she is sticking her hand out of the plane, but she actually isn't. There is one more layer of glass that is hard to see, but still, the thickness of the window is now halved. She notices something was wrong with her window during the flight, but did not tell anyone until the very end, not wanting to cause a panic. I see where she is coming from, and she might have just been too shy and scared to speak up, but I personally think she should have said something, because they might have needed to make an emergency landing to fix it. She was trying to keep everyone calm by not telling, but looking at the condition of the window, I think it could have put everyone's lives in danger, but above all else, I'm just glad that she and everyone else was okay. Maddie Smith is traveling to the airport with her friends Tyler and Tori when her Uber driver Tony displays some very strange behavior along the way. He makes a remark that immediately puts them on edge, and I wanted to get your opinion on how you would feel if someone randomly said this to you.
God was telling him that someone in the car needed to be saved and we needed to figure out who it was.
Shortly thereafter, he begins reciting scripture that could easily be taken as thinly veiled threats, especially coming from a stranger they've just met.
He was a murderer. Many things that he would suffer.
I personally think that he should have been able to see the rather obvious discomfort on Maddie's face and probably should have stopped this discussion, but he continues to steer the conversation towards his beliefs. He's been talking for a long time now, and Maddie hears the GPS telling him to turn around because they've missed their exit. She claims that Tony later admits that he was missing the exits on purpose. My question is if he wanted to simply ramble at them some more, or if he is blatantly taking them somewhere else. Watch this and you tell me.
You can play church all your life. I never really understand what you're in.
Now that I think about it, this routine might have been a trick to get more money. They were too freaked out to do much about his ranting and ended up riding around with him for an hour, and eventually they requested that he drop them off even though they were not at their actual destination. How serious do you think Tony was being, and where do you think this conversation would have ended if Maddie and her friends had not stopped it sooner? Bree Calderon gets an alert from his home security system. The motion sensor camera has caught some weird things on tape over his table. Meanwhile, a small light is by the door that he can't explain. According to Bree, the ghost is moving towards an urn off camera that contains the cremated remains of his grandmother. That would be terrifying, but there's no way to tell if any part of this story is actually true. With that said, the strange mist might actually be some small picture distortion, but this visual glitch wouldn't be enough to set off the motion detector. Basically, I can't fully explain this video, so this might actually be paranormal. If you're eating grapes right now, step away from the bunch. Published by Sam Turner in September of 2015. A close-up of this grape bunch shows that something is growing on it, and that something is hatching.
Oh my lord. Oh my, it's Ah!
A spider is literally crawling out of the grapes these people purchased from a chain grocery store. The grapes were packaged in plastic. There appears to be a web wrapped around the vine, and the yellow sac spider crawls out of it. Several people in the comments say they found the same thing in their grapes from various grocery stores. Some commenters implied that supermarket staff were somehow responsible. But Pika Pika writes, the grocery store doesn't just insert a free spider. Grapes are scary. It doesn't matter where they're from. I had baby spiders crawling out of my grapes along with supposed mothers. Moral of the story, don't eat expletive grapes. Or I'll add to that, just be mindful when you do.
Spider. Oh my. That's a spider crawling out of our grape.
Soft rain falls in the desert and sends all sorts of creatures scurrying for cover, including this unwanted guest. Watch this part and be sure to translate what they are saying here if you can understand.
شلون؟ الله يرحمنا وياك ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله.
الله يكفينا شر.
A giant upside-down scorpion makes its way across the top of his tent towards the camera with its arms open and pincers extended. It looks highly aggressive and possibly poisonous, but any help identifying its exact classification and behavioral traits would be appreciated. A family was reportedly taken from this scary abandoned house, and these ghost hunters are here to investigate. Published by Dark Arts TV in August of 2021, they first come across a photograph of creepy porcelain dolls. They then open the door to a room before heading outside. While outside, they hear an unexplained sound.
So I've got a big torch out now. Yo, the house is banged.
Another happens shortly after, scaring the crew.
This video right. Right now. Energy.com for sponsoring this video right.
Back inside, while one of them is waiting for the other near the stairs, the front door opens. Later they hear voices, and it sounds like someone is at the door. When they ask the spirit to show itself, they hear it again.
Can you show yourself? What's that?
Outside again, they speak to the spirit through the spirit box, and he tells them what he's ready for. They later hear male voices, not through the spirit box, but nearby.
Man's voice, yeah. Two people talking. Yeah, I'm turning this off, mate.
They decide it's time to leave before they get taken to. Alan Kloss likes cars, but beyond that, he also likes exploring abandoned places that are creepy, really creepy. One such exploration takes place at a bridge in Walnut Port, Pennsylvania, where a woman in white fell into the canal and did not come out alive. Notice how at 3 minutes and 37 seconds the camera refuses to focus on the bridge, a sign of the supernatural some would say. They move their ghost hunting equipment to the edge of the water and get a strong paranormal response. The flashlight turns on by itself, and they use two different pieces of paranormal equipment to independently verify the presence of something supernatural there with them. This seems like it could be the exact location where she went under.
Look, alright, stopped back here.
And judging by the way his ghost meter goes crazy here at 37 minutes and 34 seconds, I'd say this is either an underground utility wire or the place where she was laid to rest.
Red, orange, orange, orange.
Hit red?
Yeah.
He actually hit red.
Orange, red, red, red,
Wow.
red.
Oh my.
What do you think they've discovered? This video, posted in July of 2008, claims to show something unknown on a foggy winter day. As some boys play on some random tubes in the forest, one of the boys points out something in the distance. The boy filming zooms in but doesn't at first capture whatever it was. The first boy says it must just be an animal that went into the woods. They decide to go after it. The cameraman captures a humanoid figure at a distance, which he believes to be a yeti. Many in the comments of this video think it is legit, probably one of the most authentic videos I've seen. Icy Waterslide writes, "What do you think? Is this true footage of one of the most mysterious monsters on the planet?" A YouTube channel called 3/Amir AMR searches for what his video title roughly translates into English as "the most dangerous magician." Though its glowing eyes make it look less human and more like a jinn, the Arabic word for demons and spirits. The way the eyes come into focus at 1 minute and 4 seconds looks pretty good, but I think it might be special effects because the overall resolution seems to briefly drop. White and red eyes look at him from outside of a window, and there's a really good look at them here at 2 minutes and 15 seconds. But these eyes look like they could be any of the city lights shown here when he goes outside. He does see the djinn standing outside of a window, eyes glowing white as ever. It disappears. Then he sees either the same creature or possibly another one in the building directly behind him. Now feeling surrounded, he turns and flees this entire area, but not before catching glowing eyes looking at him from the window within. A paranormal investigator in South Korea called D-Doc Mikol stands in the entrance of an abandoned apartment building with a haunted reputation that few dare to document. He means no disrespect to the spirits inside and is simply recording paranormal evidence out of scientific curiosity. Nonetheless, he only gets a few steps inside before he sees an object is moving by itself.
누구세요? 누구세요?
A ghost pushing over a box is creepy, but not scary enough to stop an experienced ghost investigator like him. He keeps exploring the building, and thus the objects keep moving.
잠깐만. 아씨.
Instead of running away in fear like most, he is bravely willing to examine an object after a ghost moves it. I don't see any strings tied around this stool, but I guess someone could have pulled it away by hand. Just when he is about to leave the room, the poltergeist refuses to be ignored.
뭔 소리야?
A shelf tips over by itself. I thought somebody could have been hiding on the other side of the door, but look what happens when he checks the room.
이거 여러분들 잡기는 아닙니다. 이거 잡기는
A second full-size shelf somehow falls out from within the small space behind the door, which is not big enough for a person to fit behind. And when he checks behind the door, at 6 minutes and 4 seconds, you can just barely see a shadow figure caught on camera. Down a different hallway, the ghost hunter sees one of the doors leading into a dark apartment is open. He knows a paranormal entity is near, and when he investigates a little further, this scary moment happens.
걸어가고 있어.
One thing I especially like about D-Doc is that no matter how scared he becomes, he always makes it a point never to back down. He looks behind the door and into the empty apartment. And finds nothing there. I see no strings attached to the sandals, especially during this close-up taken at 8 minutes and 59 seconds. Then again, this could be fake because the sandals take tiny steps and never actually leave the ground, which is not how a person walks when you think about it. Anyway, he finds slippers in front of another open door and experiences the same scary events.
잠깐.
This time he actually stepped foot inside the apartment and verified that it's completely empty. When he picks up the slippers, you can clearly see there are no strings attached, so at this point I'm creeped out. Finally, while setting up an experiment to detect paranormal activity inside of this apartment, a mysterious figure briefly appears in the hallway. Was it a ghost caught on camera, or was it a prop? You may think you're alone, but are you really? Posted to TikTok by Tayasha, this one is bound to give you the heebie-jeebies. On what looks to be a stormy night, the TikToker is walking around an abandoned building when she spots this in the window. The dark-haired figure appears ghoulish, staring out at the passerby. What do you think this mystery figure wants, and who is it waiting for? This has either gotta be the paranormal or a very elaborate hoax. There's simply no in-between. A TikTok user named Caesar in MP is piloting a plane when he sees an oddly terrifying unknown flying object skimming the clouds. Just below, the tiny circular object appears to have no propellers and emits no exhaust. It looks like it's moving extremely fast, but keep in mind Caesar is passing it in his own aircraft, so its exact speed is unknown. A regular civilian drone could not move at this rate of speed, and its design looks more complex than a regular drone. So what do you think? Secret project? Or something from someplace much farther away than Earth? According to YouTubers, most who've watched this video arrived there by typing in a random emoji into the search bar. That may be because the video shows a woman replacing her prosthetic eye. At the start of the video, the woman's eyes look nearly identical. The coloring is the exact same. In fact, I'd be surprised if you knew without reading the title that one of these eyes is fake, and I'd highly doubt that you could guess the real from the prosthetic. That's how good prosthetic eyes are in this day and age. But what happens next will make you question everything. The smiling woman holds open the bottom lid of her left eye, and after a little bit of finicking, the eye slides right out. All that remains is the eye socket. The woman then shows you her prosthetic, which is really just the front half of an eyeball. It is concave and empty behind. She replaces it in her eye by inserting it up behind her upper lid and then pulling her lower lid out to wrap around the bottom of the prosthetic. The eye is now back in place. She demonstrates its movement, and while it doesn't show as wide a range of circulation as a regular eye, it's certainly impressive what modern technology has done to improve visual prosthetics. This mother is relaxing on the patio when a loud boom startles her pretty badly. No, I said loud. The boom is so large it rocks the camera and briefly lights up the room despite it being in the middle of the day. I really hope Chris knew what he was doing, because that sounded like it was way too close to the house. Thomas Hayes has been hearing scary loud sounds lately. Strange scratching noises coming from inside of the wall, right next to where he sleeps at night. Anxiety mixes with fear as he dismantles the electric socket to investigate what's gone wrong behind the walls. And let me tell you, the source of the scary sounds is beyond creepy. He tries not to scream as he finds the wall is filled with an endless number of fried insects. Roaches to be exact, and look, at 30 seconds he absent-mindedly flicks one off with his finger. That's not exactly the reaction I was expecting, and certainly not what I would have done, but I guess he was shocked at the time. Speaking of, I can't help but wonder how safe it is to prod around an electrical socket with a screwdriver in the first place. I know he probably turned the power off, but I feel like it could still hold a charge. Someone tell me in the comments. This creepy doll was found perched on a platform in a graveyard. What is it doing here? Posted to the oddly terrifying subreddit by Blocks. The doll's eyes follow you wherever you move. It appears to be dressed in a baptism garb, and it has two sharp teeth and what look like real hair. The doll just keeps watching with its eerie grin as the cameraman takes it in from all angles. While some in the comments explain that these eyes are able to follow you due to the curvature of the glass, that still doesn't explain what this creepy demon doll is doing in a graveyard. Some Redditors want this thing removed from the earth just to be safe, but Geraldine Ferrari writes, its eyes would still follow you. Yikes. Erwin Saunders enchants us again with these captures of a folkloric woodland creature. Published in October of 2021, Erwin was searching for another creature when he caught this one unexpectedly near a small waterfall. The creature flits quickly into view, too fast to see clearly. Oh. It makes a reappearance again later, but it still moves too fast for the human eye.
Yeah.
Some in the comments note that in slow motion, the creature appeared to have a big head and bat-like wings. What is this thing? Is it truly a folkloric woodland creature? Because that appears to be the case. Give your haunted eyes a rub and take another look. A YouTuber named Melmer4564 has a unique problem with her apartment home, an unwanted visitor who simply won't go away. You might not see it now, but it sees you. This small crescent shape looks like a human face, no matter what angle you look at it from. Even when the camera is fully tilted, you can still tell that is the left side of someone's face. How did this get here? And more important than that, why is it not going away? Mustafa Sven is one of the very few brave paranormal exploration channels from Iraq, and he is definitely one of the best. Let's check out a 24-hour challenge he took at a scary haunted abandoned house that he's always been afraid to go exploring. It isn't long until paranormal entities come wailing for him, and all of the creepiness is caught on video with 2 different cameras. It starts with little things that are quite weird, like a shadow moving strangely in the hall behind him. I mean, yeah, I guess it could just be his hand, but the shadow doesn't exactly follow his movements, and I don't know, the angles just don't match up. Then, shortly after the spooky shadow passes by, more weird things are caught on camera. The backpack is actually very well balanced and should not tip over, and it bothers him that it does. He tries to recreate the situation and cannot. Scary noises aside, the backpack is far from the only object caught on camera moving by itself on this haunted night. A stone silently dislodges from the mantelpiece and crashes to the ground, followed by another one. The poltergeist is pulling this house apart brick by brick, willing to do whatever it takes to scare this ghost hunter away. A padlock bounces on its own like a ghost is trying to open the door. Watch closely and tell me if you think this is a poltergeist or someone on the other end of the door poking through the crack with a stick. But just when I was beginning to think this video might not be paranormal, it becomes one of the creepiest videos I've seen in a long time. A rising wail of spirits closing in makes him realize this 24-hour challenge needs to be cut about 20 hours short, and so he finally leaves. YouTuber Eder Hernandez and his crew are about to face off with some dark magic. As they're wandering in the darkness, they hear this witch's cries.
Soy.
¡Ah, la verga!
¿Escucha? ¿Estoy loco o sí se escuchó? ¡Ah, la verga, negro! ¡Ah, la verga! ¡Ah, la verga!
When they come upon this structure, they hear her again.
¿Qué pedo, loco? Negro, hazte para acá. Verga, hazte para acá. Hazte para acá.
Espérate, güey, es que ¿dónde fue?
And then she appears.
Exactamente.
De que hay algo paranormal aquí, hay algo paranormal,
Sí,
güey.
pero no es bueno.
¡A la verga! ¡No mames, güey!
At first, they keep their distance.
Güero, 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 güero. Alumbren allá, güey, allá está.
But but even from a distance, it seems she's not having it.
Hey, hey, no mames, Fósil, ayúdalo, güey. Fósil, verga. Y yo traigo las cámaras, güey. Agarra aquí. Hey, espérate, loco. Eder.
They again see her in the darkness.
Se está convirtiendo en quién sabe qué verga, güey. Vámonos. Ah, no mames, güey. Vámonos.
After which, she flees into the night.
Madre, güey. Allá arriba, idiota, arriba. A la verga, güey. ¿Ya se perdió?
Why did she take off? I think she got what she came for. Eder's soul. A YouTuber named Miguel Alvarez is racing down the road at high speeds for a very good reason. He catches up to a red car and immediately gets the driver's attention.
Hey! It's on fire!
It's on fire!
The flames quickly crawl up the vehicle and soon reach the engine. What you see here is the end result just before firefighters arrived and contained the blaze. It looks bad, but things could have been way worse. The woman could have still been inside of this vehicle, if not for the heroic actions of Miguel Alvarez and his friends. If you like to scrounge for snacks at night, this video will have you second guessing that midnight snack. Posted to Reddit by Better Than Better, the home security footage reveals a dark and seemingly empty kitchen at night. Around 30 seconds in, a man trudges in and opens the fridge to get a snack. While the man is standing at the fridge, drinking something, watch the teddy bear on the kitchen table. It starts moving ever so slightly, bobbing up and down, but that's not all. When the man closes the fridge and turns to leave, the baby walker next to the table does this, confused about whether he saw what he thinks he saw. The man doesn't take his eyes off the baby walker as he leaves the room, but he returns a short time later, his wife by his side, presumably to explain what happened. As he's indicating that the baby walker moved of its own accord, the teddy bear falls over, or rather seems to fly backwards, as the wife jumps out of the room and the man approaches the bear. Two of the chairs tucked under the table spring out simultaneously. If that isn't enough to scare you out of your own home, I don't know what is. I believe dealing with an incident like this is something 99% of people couldn't handle. Back in 1993, this TikToker's father took a video on a sharp camcorder. She thinks he captured a ghost. Posted on TikTok by Olivia Bishop, the mysterious video shows a child at play while her parents watch.
For all those Gen Zs out there, this is a camcorder. We'd set it up, press record, and go about our day. I don't know why, it was just a 90s thing. And just so you guys know, we've had a ghost in every house that we've lived in, so that's why I found this very intriguing. Go ahead and watch that pumpkin in the left-hand corner, and let me know what you think.
A small plastic pumpkin sits at the end of a slide near the camcorder. After a moment, it rolls across the floor on its own for no discernible reason. Some in the comments note that the baby looks over at the pumpkin at the exact moment, like she senses something is there. Olivia claims to have had a ghost in every house they've lived in. Is this one of them? It appears that's the case. A YouTuber named Solar and his friends are checking out an old abandoned hotel that's rumored to be the secret meeting place for an organized cult. The first thing they notice is how the hotel looks to still be in use, despite being abandoned for many years. The pentagram in the floor looks recent and could be used for who knows what. They decide to arm themselves and keep exploring. Eventually, they wind up on an overpass and can see their SUV, but something is out of place.
Honestly, like, we want to come back here. Oh, bro. What the No way. Oh, bro. Yeah, let's go.
A wheeled cart comes rolling towards them, obviously pushed by someone nearby. The friends know that danger is near, so they race to their car and get out of there before the cult has a chance to take them away. Published in June of 2008 by Damian Black, the shadow people of Emerson County are caught on video, causing havoc in the forest. According to Damian in his description, the first reports of these creatures occurred in 1957. In his own words, In August of 1997, roughly 2 miles from where original reports originated, a video camera was found and turned into local authorities. What they saw on the old tape was scary, mysterious, and remains unexplained to this day. The video shows some grainy footage in the forest. At first, there's just trees and brush, but after a moment, the cameraman says he's heard something moving. Zooming in, you can vaguely see that something, a translucent form of a figure as it moves through the trees. It's difficult to tell if it's a man, animal, or something else, but it does look like a shadow figure. At first, it seems perfectly docile, and then it screams. The pair run, but it's unknown whether they made it out of the forest alive. That terrifying sound may have been the last thing they ever heard. A YouTuber named Faster Than Pasta is experimenting with a homemade Ouija board and manages to contact a 44-year-old spirit named Simon. Simon doesn't appear to be very happy about being summoned and interrogated by some kids, so he spells out his displeasure.
Do you want to be friends? We're so sorry.
Less than 10 minutes later, Faster Than Pasta begins to look different and feel strange. She looks at her hands as though they are foreign objects, and then her head goes down. Her knees give out and she falls to the ground, woozy. When she recovers, she looks over at her friend Jimmy only to discover that now he is the one acting strange. It seems as if Simon the spirit is switching between both of them at will.
Jimmy, what are you doing? What happened?
Eventually, Jimmy too passes out with absolutely no recollection of what happened upon waking. Tell me if you think they are really getting possessed or just acting. Parts of this video look pretty convincing, but I can't say for sure. Have you ever seen a door slam all on its own? Okay, but have you seen it happen in a creepy underground morgue? Steady Pop published this horrifying video in May of 2017, which begins scary and then escalates even further. As the camera wads into the darkness with a flickering lantern lighting a hallway, strange slamming noises are heard. You might be screaming, "Don't go down there," at your computer screen right now, but the cameraman isn't listening. He walks towards the hallway, and as he gets closer, you can see what's making that slamming noise. It's a red door down at the end of the hallway. It's opening and closing shut on repeat with no end in sight. As the cameraman gets closer and closer, your heart starts beating faster and faster. And then suddenly the door stops slamming. The lights flicker on and then off completely. When they turn back on again, the cameraman walks over to the door and opens it. Nothing is inside. The cameraman turns down towards the end of the hallway and into the adjacent room, but nothing. Was this the paranormal in action? Or as some in the comments believe, was a fishing line involved? Real or fake, what do you think? It's certainly some interesting footage. A YouTuber named Texas Savage has traces of paranormal activity left outside her bedroom door, or so she claims. Look at this part and tell me if you can see what she means. And if you can't see it, it's much more apparent in this next video of hers that I'm about to show. You can see it a bit better here, as she points out the individual fingers and notices the lack of a thumb.
Here's one, and here's one. But there's no thumb.
In this next video taken on a different day, you can get a better look at the handprints and see how long the fingers really were, far too big to be on her own. And since she claims to live alone, it can't be anyone else unless someone has been going into her bedroom without her knowing. On this day, she also finds some fresh scratches not too far from where the handprint is, and while inspecting the rest of her house, she finds 2 new marks at the bottom of her bathroom door that are perfectly aligned, almost like eyes. If you don't think this is real, then what do you think caused this? Just like all of the other markings, she can recall nothing happening in this room to make them appear overnight. Well, we've all heard the story of Old Nessie, aka the Loch Ness Monster. You haven't seen anything like this footage. Published by Mark Hayes in October of 2014, the mythical creature surfaces in this scary video. The footage shows something large adrift in the middle of Loch Ness, the enormous creature breaks the surface with its eel-like body. It weaves around the lake, coming closer and closer toward the camera. Birds fly down, appearing to land on its back for a moment before flying off again. The creature's body even seems to curve up out of the water. While I've never seen a more convincing Nessie video, skeptics in the comments have me questioning things. Some commenters say it moves too rigidly and mechanically, and is more likely to be an underwater cable or a water dredge system utilizing a hose. Others think it could be an animal, not a monster, with Sue Copening writing, "Recently they have found eel DNA in the lochs in great numbers. Nessie could simply be members of a large species of eel, or perhaps eels. Is that all Nessie is? A gigantic eel?" It certainly has me questioning things. Most of the time, security cameras capture hours and hours of useless footage. Sometimes, however, they capture something like this. Published in September of 2013, YouTuber Rainy Schooler writes, "A woman walks out of the darkness on a cold and wet night in the mountains far from a busy road and no immediate neighbors. The security camera is aimed into the wilderness and you can see a tree to the right side of the screen but nothing else. That is until, right in the middle of the shot, the figure appears, walks and stops and turns awkwardly. Not turning with her feet but just twisting with her upper body. Then she walks forward again before taking a sharp right turn and veering out of sight. The video moves forward about 45 seconds until the woman is seen winding around the tree and then is spotted back in the middle again, looking off into the wilderness, moving in the same strange start-stop fashion that she was doing before. A different security camera captures the woman walking up towards the house. Out of sight, it's not clear what she did alongside of the home, but she is soon seen again walking haphazardly away and around the same area near the tree in the back. She did this for 10 minutes, the video notes. Many in the comments think this woman must have been on something, but in the middle of nowhere. What do you think? I'm just glad they had security cameras so the homeowners were aware of her activities. This person's nails are just long enough to produce one of the most stressful sounds ever recorded. If you somehow are able to keep from cringing from stress at what I'm about to show you, consider me impressed. Worst of all, judging by these claw marks seen at the very beginning of the video, I think they tend to enjoy making this noise all of the time. This paranormal crew's third visit to this prison did not disappoint. CVS Paranormal enters Dorchester Prison, a criminal facility in which executions have been carried out. In previous investigations of this prison, the team has captured some truly eerie figures on camera, like this one. As the team enters, whispering is heard on the audio.
This is a big main entrance where down there is
A second EVP captures a low growl.
Prisoner was in here. Prisoner was in here.
This is shortly followed by a door closing or opening.
Sounded like a growl or something. Like a growl or something.
And scratching noises.
This is a big one. Yeah, definite noises.
This singing is what's really chilling.
I swear I just heard singing. It sounded like it's coming from here as well. Soldier. Oh!
But it's when you're not searching for ghosts that they come find you.
Trust me.
It seems Dorchester Prison is truly rife with activity, but whether it's good or evil is anyone's guess. This cat is playfully smacking around a Brillo pad when it stops to look straight up, ears back, completely frozen, almost as if someone invisible is standing over it. Next, an orb floats upwards and makes it jump straight into the air. After a while, the house pet regains interest in its toy, only to stop and look around again, slightly bewildered. It looks at its owner briefly and then follows the orb with its head in a swooping motion, possibly the very same orb as before. There's no doubt that the cat sees something out of the ordinary as it tracks the orb perfectly. Both times, it completely loses interest in the toy and seems somewhat alarmed over an unseen presence. I guess there could be some other explanation, but if I was alone and saw all of this going on, I would definitely question if my house was haunted. This video was taken at night in a parking garage somewhere in West India. A woman was apparently acting normal until she was suddenly attacked by what some bystanders later described as a ghost. Watch this part and tell me if you think she is having delusions or fighting off a spiritual possession. Try to translate if possible too, please. I did not think much of this video until I noticed what could be a strange paranormal disturbance. Some kind of fast-moving white objects repeatedly appeared during the harshest times of her struggle, like here for instance. Poor camera quality makes it hard to tell if these are some kind of spirit orbs or just insects. If these are insects and nothing more, I find it weird that there are only just a few of them, and how they only seem to appear during key moments of the video when she is in the most distress. The last thing you want to find in a toilet stall is a viewing gallery. That's what Redditor Chopper Ian discovered in a lady's cubicle at a UK pub in Hampshire. Posted to the casual UK subreddit, the Redditor asks, "What is the point of this?" The video shows a small sliding door between the toilet stalls, with latches on either side to lock it. But why would it need to be unlocked in the first place? And why is it there at all? The Redditor notes that this was a nice country pub. Some suggest it's used to confess your sins, others to hold hands. Many in the comments refer to the Seinfeld episode, in which Elaine realizes she's run out of toilet paper and asks the neighboring stall to spare a square. And actually, that seems to be the consensus among Redditors in the thread for the utility of this sliding door. What do you think it's for? South Korean ghost hunter Yang Ma-hee is exploring an old abandoned haunted house for evidence of the paranormal. What he's caught on tape is up for debate, so let's get right to it. Tell me if you hear a footstep after he finishes his sentence.
계세요? 누구 계세요?
All of the rooms look completely ripped apart, and yet nothing has been taken. Drawers and shelves are overturned, but clothing and personal items remain largely untouched. It looks like the work of poltergeist activity to me, not thieves. A particularly angry poltergeist at that. But perhaps the scariest part of all is this EVP of a man's voice that completely overlaps his own when he touches the old owner's shoe.
이거 화장실이다.
That does not sound like a house settling or anything like that. It's definitely vocal cords. The ghostly voice of someone who is with us in spirit alone. Final analysis? Yeah, this video is about as paranormal as it gets. This YouTuber just bought some scrap cars for dirt cheap. There's only one catch though.
And it wasn't opening yet, so I just opened this up. If you look here, it's biohazard, so I've been trying to be careful. Look,
The car has both airbags deployed and, judging from the interior, there were probably no survivors. He pulls out a bag of wrecked parts that just gives me a bad feeling all around. Then he moves deeper inside. The center console contains some weird beads and other miscellaneous items. It's strange to think that he could be rummaging through the very same belongings of a person who is no longer living. Eventually, he comes across a pair of designer sunglasses that again give me the same weird feeling as before. Let me know if you would actually take any of these items, or if you would leave them be. A YouTuber named Blake Smith's Gaming Blitz lives alone and often hears wearing sobs in his basement. He says that he is way too strapped for cash to afford a Bluetooth speaker, and that this is real. Take a listen for yourself. At 57 seconds into the video, the spirit seems to respond to his voice.
Hello? Hello?
He pokes around the corner, and sitting in the far corner of the room is a tiny entity made of light that kind of resembles a small child. I took a screenshot to better illustrate what I'm saying. The shape looks roughly symmetrical, and the head is looking directly at the camera. It's every urban explorer's worst nightmare. YouTuber Exploring with Danny apparently uncovered 4 bodies while exploring this abandoned place. His dog came across them first.
Diesel! Diesel, what are you doing, boy?
After entering, Danny realizes he's happened upon a grim scene.
Oh my. Hello?
I want to think it's fake, but Danny's reaction seems all too real.
Diesel, call Diesel, come on. We need to the police, Diesel.
Andre Gennaro published this epic encounter between a drone and a motorbike in March of 2014. First off, I'm taking guesses on who comes out of the other side of this incident unscathed. The biker and the drone meet, just as he takes his motorbike off a jump. At top speed, the bike collides with the drone, and then all you see is the aftermath. When the drone's operator picks up his aircraft, you can see the biker laying on the ground, apparently the worse for wear of the pair. We're guessing the biker's injuries were not dire, as the drone's operator is seen laughing off the incident. Just goes to show that these fun, high-flying devices can be dangerous when in the wrong hands. Published by Tim Morozov in December of 2021, the paranormal investigator enters the most haunted of houses and encounters one of the most dangerous level 5 poltergeists he's ever faced off with. In the video, Tim draws a circle in chalk on the floor in the living room. Cameras are set up all around. He asks the spirits in the home to move things. After a time, something triggers one of his paranormal devices. The thermal imaging camera shows a great white orb floating in the vicinity. The orb passes by him where it hovers over the Ouija board. The planchette starts to spaz out all over the board. It doesn't seem to be spelling anything, it's just going berserk. The light then floats out of frame. After this, several items in the room float into the air. The light reappears and then seems to brush past Tim, knocking him to the floor. It comes back and knocks him again. Is this the most aggressive poltergeist you've ever seen? Tim left with his life this time, but next time he might not be so lucky. What would you think if you saw a wheelchair moving down an eerie, empty, poorly lit hospital corridor at night? You might think you've walked straight into a horror movie. That's probably what security for this hospital thought when they reviewed the security footage after some ghost was up to no good. In the footage, a wheelchair is parked near a wall at the end of the hallway, but slowly it starts to turn and begins to roll backwards around the corner. No one is pushing it and no one is sitting in it, so who or what is maneuvering the chair? And where are they going? Only the spirits lingering in this hospital know. A home security camera caught this scary sight in Corvina. Posted by Ruby Gonzalez in December of 2018, Ruby writes, 2 individuals tried to enter a home. One knocked on the door and called out the resident's first name several times. The family was home at the time. You can see one of the men approach with his hood up and a kerchief covering his mouth, wearing a backpack. He knocks on the door, waiting with his head down, likely aware of where the security camera is located. A second dude also approaches, dressed in the same fashion. He's carrying a crowbar. They knock a second and third time, alerting a small dog inside. When a car passes, they both turn to look down the street and ensure there are no witnesses. He knocks several more times, saying, "Come on, bro," but the second dude eventually taps him on the arm, indicating it's time to give up and leave, which thankfully they do. Whatever they came for, they left empty-handed. KT Camp records her overhead lights swaying back and forth. They start out moving clockwise, but at the end of the video, they are starting to move the other way. Maybe she twisted up the cord on purpose to make it do this, but that doesn't explain the orbs. There's an especially large one here that is different from the others in size, shape and speed as well. Real haunting or just a fake attempt in a dusty kitchen? You tell me. Here's another ninja cat caught on tape trying to capture a ghost. Daryl Zan published this video in 2012 with the description, "Just a little video of my buddy taping his possessed cat. Also has a ghost orb flash by. The cat starts up in the corner of the door frame, next to the ceiling. She is looking all over, looking towards the ceiling and balanced between 2 door frames, just as one of the cat owners says, 'What's she going to do?' A blue streak, the orb in question, flies across the camera lens from the upper right of the screen to the lower left. The man who's filming notices it and says it was weird.
What's she gonna do?
Well, that was weird.
But his partner didn't see it. Did the couple's cat sense the ghost in the room? Is that why he'd ninja his way to the top of the door frames? It's more than possible. However, some skeptics in the comments section say that the cat is acting perfectly normal and that the orb looks like a paper airplane. What do you think? A YouTube channel called Sanders Fam has a bizarre sighting on their Tesla motion tracking equipment that they think is a paranormal ghost encounter. The dash icon displays a mysterious figure where none is to be found. Detecting invisible people is something their car has never done before, and is quite an odd coincidence considering they're passing through a cemetery at the time. It accurately detects 2 people a good distance away at 3 minutes and 39 seconds. It keeps happening on the same corner of the same block, the icon of someone riding a bike dashing away from them.
There it is.
They are getting creeped out and wonder what it is. That's when they realize around the corner is the final resting place of a YouTuber named Corey Lavery. They talk about him for a while, and then as they drive away,
There's nobody there.
Now he's walking that way.
Something walks by his grave. Now that is certainly a strange series of events. When you're driving home exhausted at the end of the long day, stay conscious and keep your eyes peeled. You might just see this. This supernatural clip was posted in April of 2020, claiming it's a real sighting on a haunted roadside. So let's take a look and see for ourselves. The clip shows someone driving down a dirt road in the near darkness. As they turn a corner, a dark figure barely visible can be seen crossing the path. On closer inspection, the figure looks long-limbed and big-eyed with a strangely shaped skull. It crosses slowly before sitting down at the side of the road. If human, what is this strange behavior? If not, any theories as to what this creature might be? Whether paranormal or some earthly figure running into this near dusk might be enough to end your life. Paranormal investigator Tim Morozov has experienced his fair share of demon encounters over the years, but this is probably one of the most terrifying. What you're about to see is a demon trying to take Tim's soul. First, the demon shows its disdain for knock-knock jokes. Then it confronts him.
Блин, я даже не знаю, сколько времени. Уже рассвело.
It then speaks to him. This demon clearly wants him gone, and Tim finally heeds his warning. I think it's very smart of him to have gotten out when he did, considering this demon's level of aggression. I always find his videos compelling, but this one especially has me on edge. You head outside for a nice peaceful evening stroll when you encounter this, posted to TikTok by Daniela Duque. The uploader says in the clip, "Something happened that changed my life, check." The clip shows at least a dozen people all dressed in white, wandering down the empty street carrying torches. It's not clear what's going on here. Many in the comments are saying this looks like the set from a movie. Others suggest the horror film Midsommar. While some think this group is cult-like, perhaps performing a ritual. Still others consider this is more likely the Purge. Are you ready for it? I'm not. Things get scary on the open road. This is yet another case of a driver gone a little too ragey. The video is self-explanatory. The Mercedes driver gets out of his car, carrying a metal pole, but the driver is on his toes. Putting pedal to the metal, he speeds off-road and leaves the would-be assailant in the dust. In my opinion, it doesn't matter what little driving infraction happened in the lead-up to this scary incident. No one should spring from their vehicle with a metal pole with the intent of getting revenge. When you reach the end of the road, you better just turn around, otherwise this can happen. Posted by TikToker Sharpski. The TikToker may have escaped something life-ending at the end of the road. In the clip, Sharpski is traveling down a dirt road in a field at night. As the group drives on, they see a group aligned in a formation at the end of the field. They say the figures look like they have heads. They conclude that they are people and urge the driver to turn around. If they are people, what are they doing at the edge of a forest at night? Well, some in the comments, like TikToker Chris Michael, think these are simply dual targets at an open range. Others require further proof. Neen writes, "Keep driving. I want to see from the safe distance of my phone." But since the cameraman wouldn't have that luxury, I'm not sure if he'd be willing to risk it all for us to find out what's really happening here. A YouTuber named Waffle Vlogs records a strange man standing outside his apartment home. According to Waffle Vlogs, this uninvited guest stood at his front door and then started walking the parking lot for a long time.
What's he doing out there?
He stares out at nothing for a while and eventually walks back to his car, which is a relief, but still doesn't explain what he was doing there to begin with. Waffle Vlogs seems just as confused as we are about what just happened to him. He thinks that he might have been getting his house cased out. I have no reason not to believe him. Do you? This man is panicking, and he has reason to. Published by Hayalette Videolari in November of 2013. The creepy footage he captured will have you on edge. Though there's no context to this clip, the man is in a room alone, and he's very much afraid.
Guys, this is the area where I've seen a spirit roaming freely.
What of? We're not sure yet, until...
Are you there? Are you there inside? Oh my god! Oh my god!
After freaking out some more, the man wheels around the frosted window panel, and there's no one behind it. To whom does this hand belong? I'd wager the invisible man. A man is cooking in his kitchen when a black mist appears behind him. Look for it on the left side of your screen. The man has his back turned and does not seem to notice what's going on behind him. What's especially strange is how the black mist starts to back away from the door when the man heads into the other room. Once the homeowner is safely out of view, the mist turns very dark and quickly darts in front of the doorway. No clear explanation has ever been provided, though I'd like to hear yours. Whatever the thing is, it's never been recorded again since. What's scarier than being home alone when you think you are, but you're actually not? Posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by Amy Dancing Again. The Redditor explains that she was home alone and making a TikTok video when she started hearing noises. She writes, "I heard banging noises from the spare room we use for storage. No one else was home and there seems to also be a weird humming noise. The clip appears to be taken in Amy's room. Although faint, you can hear knocking and banging noises in the background. The strange humming sound could be a car passing or some sort of vehicular noise. But as for the banging, who knows? Can you hear that? Amy asks. Yes, Amy, we can. Time to take a leaf out of Macaulay Culkin's book and start setting up some booby traps. Thank you so much for getting me to 50,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Let's get to 60,000 subscribers next. Thank you.